JD Vance recently pulled up at an AI Action Summit to speak about whether or not the United States of America is actually embracing AI. Let's talk about it.
The kind introduction, and I want to start by thanking President Macron for hosting the event and, of course, for the lovely dinner last night. During the dinner, President Macron looked at me and asked if I would like to speak, and I said, Mr. President, I'm here for the good company and free wine, but I have to earn my keep today. And I, of course, want to thank Prime Minister Modi for being here and for co-hosting the summit, for all of you for participating. And I'm not here this morning to talk about AI safety, which was the title of the conference a couple of years ago. I'm here to talk about AI opportunity. When conferences like this convene to discuss a cutting-edge technology, oftentimes I think our response is to be too self-conscious, too risk-averse. But never have I encountered a breakthrough in tech that so clearly calls us to do precisely the opposite. Now, our administration, the Trump administration, believes that AI will have countless revolutionary applications in economic innovation, job creation, national security, healthcare, free expression, and beyond. And to restrict its development now will not only unfairly benefit incumbents in the space, it would mean paralyzing one of the most promising technologies we have seen in generations.
Can we get an appreciation for JD Vance's ability to communicate and also not hide behind Trump, but to actually be doing work, giving speeches, participating on the ground in North Carolina, flying over to do an AI Action Summit, can then speak on a majority of the different topics, is actually educated and has a phenomenal wife. Can we get a round of applause for JD Vance? Because he is so much different than Kamala Harris. JD Vance and Kamala Harris is like night and day, honest to God. They're like night and day. To see the way that he moves and how he communicates and how he can speak clearly, and he's really great at what he does versus what the person was in the last administration, telling us how they love the grass on their farmers or on their neighbor's grass or something like that. This is like night and day, honest to goodness.
And with that in mind, I'd like to make 4 main points today. Number 1, this administration will ensure that American AI technology continues to be the gold standard worldwide, and we are the partner of choice for others, foreign countries, and certainly businesses as they expand their own use of AI. Number 2, we believe that excessive regulation of the AI sector could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off, and we'll make every effort to encourage pro-growth AI policies. And I like to see that deregulatory flavor making its way into a lot of the conversations this conference. Number 3, we feel very strongly that AI must remain free from ideological bias, and that American
that's all of the strongest leaders in the world. That's the CEO of Google. Man, they got some beasts up there.
That AI must remain free from ideological bias, and that American AI will not be co-opted into a tool for authoritarian censorship. And finally, number 4, the Trump administration will maintain a pro-worker growth path for AI, so it can be a potent tool for job creation in the United States. And I appreciate Prime Minister Modi's point. AI, I really believe, will facilitate and make people more productive. It is not going to replace human beings. It will never replace human beings. And I think too many of the leaders in the AI industry, when they talk about this fear of replacing workers, I think they really miss the point. AI, we believe, is going to make us more productive, more prosperous, and more free. The United States of America is the leader in AI, and our administration plans to keep it that way. The U.S. possesses all components across the full AI stack, including advanced semiconductor design, frontier algorithms, and, of course, transformational applications.
This dude is so smart, and he knows how to communicate, and you can tell he knows what he's talking about. He's really, really great.
Now, the computing power this stack requires is integral to advancing AI technology. And to safeguard America's advantage, the Trump administration will ensure that the most powerful AI systems are built in the U.S. with American-designed and manufactured chips. Now, just because we're the leader doesn't mean we want to or need to go it alone, of course. And let me be emphatic about this point. America wants to partner with all of you. And we want to embark on the AI revolution before us with a spirit of openness and collaboration. But to create that kind of trust, we need international regulatory regimes that fosters the creation of AI technology rather than strangles it.
This is called diplomacy. This is one of the reasons that J.D. Vance, when him and Trump was running for president and vice president of the United States of America back during campaign season, and you would see people on CNN and MSNBC and a lot of these liberal platforms, and they would want for J.D. Vance to say something like, other countries are their enemies. And J.D. Vance refused. And he said, listen, they can be our adversaries, meaning that we have a difference of opinion of how things should go in several sectors and several different conversations across the United States of America and the world, but it doesn't mean that they are our enemy. They are our adversaries. Some of them are our adversaries, but we want to continue to negotiate, partner with them, and also figure out where we can actually have a level of diplomacy. And he would use that word regularly. He would say a level of diplomacy. And the reason that he says that is because it's not that the United States of America needs to go it alone. It's that the United States of America needs to fix home, also make sure that we're making significant investments in home, forcing different companies to do business in America, but it doesn't mean that we cannot partner with other people. And J.D. Vance does a masterful job of asserting that the United States of America should be and is at the forefront of a movement, especially when it comes to technology, but we would love to partner with other people to help them get rich while we also get richer. This should be the goal of the federal government, to reduce regulation, to reduce the amount of people that are participating in your life, to open up the possibility of growth, because we are in an arms race with the world. And everything we do, we are always competing with the world. Just because we say that we want to overregulate and stop something doesn't mean that the world is going to do it. And so what they're basically saying is, instead of trying to put a stranglehold on it, let's embrace it. Let's do it ethically. Let's partner with the right people that also want to do things the right way. And let's get this popping. And this should be exactly what the federal government's job is, to enable and also to protect, while at the same time fostering great relationships with other people and then limiting the reach of government into our individual lives. This is exactly what Trump and J.D. Vance is doing. And while Trump is over here taking care of things on this side, J.D. Vance is also being an extension of the Trump administration. And that's why you continue to see him give credit to Trump and its administration, because he understands his role and he plays it to a T. This is one of the things that Trump learned from his first time in office. You can't have a Mike Pence. You need a J.D. Vance. You got to adjust, and you got to continue to run it up.
And we need our European friends in particular to look to this new frontier with optimism rather than trepidation. Now, the development of cutting-edge AI in the U.S. is no accident. By preserving an open regulatory environment, we've encouraged American innovators to experiment and to make unparalleled R&D investments. Of the $700 billion, give or take, that's estimated to be spent on AI in 2028, over half of it will likely be invested in the United States of America. Now, this administration will not be the one to snuff out the startups and the grad students producing some of the most groundbreaking applications of artificial intelligence. Instead, our laws will keep big tech, little tech, and all other developers on a level playing field. Now, with the president's recent executive order on AI, we're developing an AI action plan that avoids an overly precautionary regulatory regime while ensuring that all Americans benefit from the technology and its transformative potential. Now, we invite your countries to work with us and to follow that model if it makes sense for your nations. However, the Trump administration is troubled by reports that some foreign governments are considering tightening the screws on U.S. tech companies with international footprints. Now, America cannot and will not accept that, and we think it's a terrible mistake, not just for the United States of America, but for your own countries. Now, U.S. innovators of all sizes already know what it's like to deal with onerous international rules. Many of our most productive tech companies are forced to deal with the EU's Digital Services Act and the massive regulations it created about taking down content and policing so-called misinformation. And of course,
tariffs.
We want to ensure the internet is a safe place, but it is one thing to prevent a predator from preying on a child on the internet, and it is something quite different to prevent a grown man or woman from accessing an opinion that the government thinks is misinformation. Meanwhile, for smaller firms, navigating the GDPR means paying endless legal compliance costs or otherwise risking massive fines. Now, for some, the easiest way to avoid the dilemma has been to simply block EU users in the first place. Is this really the future that we want? Ladies and gentlemen, I think the answer for all of us should be no. Now, there's no issue where we worry about more than regulation when it comes to energy. And again, I appreciated the comments of so many at the conference because they recognize that we stand now at the frontier of an AI industry that is hungry for reliable power and high-quality semiconductors. Yet too many of our friends are deindustrializing on the one hand and chasing reliable power out of their nations and off their grids with the other. The AI future is not going to be won by hand-wringing about safety. It will be won by building, from reliable power plants to the manufacturing facilities that can produce the chips of the future. Now, at a personal level, what excites me most about AI is that it is grounded in the real and the physical economy. The success of the sector isn't just a matter of smart people sitting in front of a computer screen and coding. It depends on those who work with their hands, even as robotics will change our factories. It will certainly make our healthcare providers better at treating diseases, but it will also depend on the data produced by those healthcare providers, by those doctors and nurses. I believe it will help us create and store new modes of power in the future, but right now, AI cannot take off unless the world builds the energy infrastructure to support it. Now, it's my view that tech innovation over the last 20 years has often conjured images of smart people staring at computer screens, engineering in the world of bits. But the AI economy will primarily depend on and transform the world of atoms.
I think that JD Vance is, if you want to watch more of this speech, and I'll put it in the link if I chop it up and put it in the clip. But I think that JD Vance is incredibly intelligent. I think that he understands what's happening. And one of the things that makes an administration effective is its ability to also understand what is coming, as well as embrace it while at the same time trying to control it and communicate effectively, not only with world leaders, but also to the people, that they shouldn't be afraid of it, that it's not there to necessarily replace people, but people need to become more well-versed in what they do, and what allows for them to continue to grow in a particular industry.